So for the final one, we're going to create a golf ball, so mesh, and we're not going to use a UV sphere because in order to do a golf ball, we want something that every vertex is equal distant. If we look at the UV sphere by itself, it's actually made out of a bunch of squares. So this shape doesn't afford itself very well to make a golf ball. So we're going to add an icosphere, and the default icosphere has a resolution that's a little off. So we're going to increase the subdivisions to 3, and what this does is this adds a lot more detailing to it. And if we kind of zoom in and look, it's basically a fancy name for a geodesic dome. And what you can do, and there are tutorials you can find online, is you actually create a sphere and you copy it, duplicate it to every one of these vertices, and you cut it out. The problem with that is you end up with something that's about 250,000 vertices, so that's way too big for what we're doing, and the golf ball is going to be really small, so we're just basically going to do a hack. So we're going to, with the icosphere, we'll create a new material. I'm going to make the intensity all the ways up, and let's just, we'll leave this as Lambert. Let's switch this over to Fong because it's kind of plasticky. Increase the intensity, knock down the hardness, just to kind of spread it out a little bit. And also, if we want, we can turn on the smooth and render this out, and we get basically just a simple golf ball. Oh, and let me change this to white. That would help. Okay. And I'm going to return this to flat just so we can see what's going on. Now at this point, the texture that I'm going to use is I'm going to assign something to bump. And it's going to look a little off, and it'll take us a second to apply it. So I'm going to do new, I'm going to do image, and I'm going to go down and open up, and I have a file called golf ball bump. And we open this up, and this is basically black and white. And if you look at this, this looks really funny the way it's assigned. Now ultimately we're going to assign it to the bump, but for the time being I'm going to get it positioned as color, and then I'll switch it out. So this isn't going to work, so we got to figure out some way to get it so we assign this bump to each one of these triangles. And let me pull this up here. It's a golf ball bump. So we're going to have to switch over to UVs again. So we're going to go from generated, we're going to go over to UV, and at this point there's no UVs generated, so we're going to do go into edit mode, and we're going to unwrap, and we're just going to do a straight unwrap. And what that does is it basically takes every triangle and it maps it to exactly half of the UV. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit A to unselect everything, hit B to border select, and kind of watch what happens as I do this. I'm going to grab and move this to here. I'm going to grab and move this one to here. And then I'm going to grab this one and move it to here. And if you look at it now, you'll see that I have these. Now this isn't perfect, but like I said, when you look at the golf ball, it's really small, and the goal is to kind of simulate what it looks like. So that's why, that's kind of my disclaimer on this. Also, if you want to change the size of the balls, you can increase and decrease the mapping and where these are. But for what we're doing, this is fine. So we're going to get out of edit mode, and we're going to come down and turn off color and turn on normal. And now we get our bumps. Now you will get some stuff along the edges, and sometimes that has to do with how the UVs are actually adjusted. So if you move them in a little closer, it usually looks a little bit better. And let's turn on smoothing, and if I zoom really far away, and actually we'll have to move the camera far away, we basically get this. But if you squint and you look at it, it's picking up all the bumps, and for all intents and purposes from that distance it looks like a golf ball. It actually, the normals actually might be a little too deep on it. Let's go change these, and a lot of this is just kind of relative to whatever you have. So 0.5, and let's render this out, render the image and see what it looks like. Okay, it's still starting to break it up, but you can kind of see what's going on. So that concludes all the new material for this demo.